Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Dr. Joey interviews Christian business professionals just like you to discover their secrets for working faith positive in a negative world. Welcome to Faith Positive Radio with Dr. Joey Fawcett.
Hey, Faith Positive Nation, Dr. Joey Fawcett here with another episode of Faith Positive Radio. So glad that you're here, whether you're trying to increase your faith, whether you're looking for some more joy on the job, or whether you just want to love God and others more. You're in the right place, and we are so glad that you've decided to spend about 30 minutes with us on this particular podcast, because today's guest has a story to tell, and it's going to light up your life in amazing kinds of ways. Of course, all of our guests light up your life in amazing kinds of ways, but today's guest has had an experience that only he can tell, and it has reoriented the way he does life and has deepened his faith. And he's telling that story and really bringing, obviously, credibility from his ability to tell the story. But also he's bringing a huge sense of poignancy and authenticity into the lives of others, including medical professionals in hospitals, including students in medical schools. Man, it's an amazing story. And I want you to hear it today. And I want you to reflect on your own story as you listen to his story. Kevin Kirksey is my guest today, and he's kind of a Superman sort of guy. You know, by day, he's Clark Kent, right? And he works for a cybersecurity company called Securonics, and does an amazing job. He's a salesperson, as you're going to figure out as soon as he starts talking. And then it takes one to know one, right? Yeah. And then he's had an experience which has led him to reboot his life, right? And so he's written this book called Life 2.0. So if you're not walking your dog or something and you're in front of a mobile device or laptop, iPad, whatever, you can go to kevinkirkseyauthor.com. That's K-A-R-K-S-E-Y. Or you can go over to our website at getpositive.today if spelling Kirksey is too much of an endeavor for you. Kind of like Fawcett, right? And you can just look up Kevin K and you'll find him on our website. And Chuck's put the link there for you. But it's an incredible story. Kevin, man, thanks for being here and taking time out to tell your story for us today. I am so happy to have you on.
Joey, thank you so much for the opportunity to visit with you and your viewer audience. Really appreciate it.
Oh, man, we're delighted to have you here. So you're rocking along, living the dream, baby, right? You're working for a cybersecurity company, and who doesn't need cybersecurity right now?
That's exactly right. Well, the journey begins and it unfolds with a medical aspect, a spiritual aspect, and really what ultimately is culminated into an approach to living a new life. I call it Life 2.0, a life I never thought was even possible. And you had mentioned my Clark Kent day job. I have learned that my approach to living my life has caused us to excel on the job. That wasn't the primary objective. I guess it was a byproduct, but it worked. So, let me start out by saying, Joey, that honestly, by the grace of God, I'm here today through the work of countless tireless medical personnel, and I'm here today with a heart filled with making a difference. So yeah, you're right. I was rocking on. Life was perfect. I had no health issues whatsoever. I had no symptoms or signs of any kind. And, the truth be told, as I look back on this, my life at the time was really the calm before the storm. And it was a big storm. I'm leaving a routine doctor's office visit, an annual checkup.
Okay.
And I'm on my way out. We concluded the session. I'm leaving, and for some reason, I stopped at the door and I turned and I asked the doctor a question. And the question that I asked literally later proved to save my life. And it's also a question that gave me proof that divine intervention is real. The question was a simple one. I had a great rapport with this physician, and I said, "Hey, doc, I got a question for you. I hope it's not too crazy, but is there something we should check on the inside of my body?" I thought he was going to laugh for a minute, but he thought about it and he said, "Yeah, I'd like you to go do a coronary calcium scan. And I said, what is that? And he says, well, they take pictures of your cardiac arteries and measure the amount of calcium or plaque buildup. And, you know, you're in and out in 10 minutes and off you go.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
Well, Joey, I'd never really acted on my health other than just go to the doctor once a year, you know, and so I thought about it, and that this appointment with the physician was on a Friday, and this test, he had scheduled it for a Monday, and I was looking for all kinds of excuses not to do it. But because it was early in the morning, I couldn't call anybody to cancel. So I had to show up, and
you were boxed in, huh?
Yeah, I go take this test. It was just like they said it was, except it seemed like it took, 30 minutes compared to the 10 that he said it would take.
Yeah.
So I leave that and I go get on a plane. I fly out to Northern California on business, and I'm in my first business meeting.
Yep.
And my cell phone rings. It was my doctor's office.
And
I sent it to voicemail because I just knew they were calling me with the good news about
everything's fine. No
everything is
problems.
fine. Everything is fine.
Yeah.
Well, after 3 or 4 more calls in the next 10 minutes, I realized that somebody was trying to reach me. So
yeah, usually an indicator, 4 calls in 10 minutes, right?
From a doctor's office.
Yes.
Yeah. So I stepped out of the meeting. I called back. I got Nurse Kathy, who's a dear nurse, got her on the phone. I said, Kathy, somebody's trying to reach me. She goes, well, it was me. Because the test results were not good. And I said, oh, okay, well, what does that mean?
Yeah, what's not good?
She said, they're the worst the doctor has ever seen.
Well,
and
congratulations, Kevin.
Yeah.
You went right to the head of the class,
I
didn't
went
you?
right to setting records. And I said, well, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And her answer stopped me in my tracks. Her answer said, you are at an extreme risk of a cardiac event or a stroke at any moment. My first thought was, I just heard my next step could be my last, and I'm 1,700 miles away from my home.
Well, that's what I'm thinking. The grace is you made it on that airplane ride out, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I had been cruising through life, not knowing there was a problem. I was shocked. I was in disbelief. So I asked her what to do. She said, be calm and come home immediately.
Wait a minute. They just told you these are the worst test results we've ever seen in our lives. Her best advice is remain calm.
That's right. Remain calm and come home. We've got an appointment with the cardiologist for you. And I said, well, I'm in California. And they said, well, you need to go there tomorrow morning. So on the way home, my wife and I were online.
How'd you get home, Kevin?
I flew home. I was fine.
You did fly? Okay. All right.
Yeah,
so you were good to fly.
Yeah. No,
all right.
I turned around and went back to the airport and got the next flight out to come home to Dallas, Texas, which is where I live. And
okay.
My wife and I were studying this test online, and we found out that your results can go from 0 to 400. 0 is what you want. 400 is what you don't want.
Okay.
Dr. Google says some really bad things about 400. So I had forgot to ask the young lady what my score was.
So what's my score? Yeah.
So on the way up to the cardiologist's office, I called and I said, Kathy, what was my score?
Yeah.
6,518 on a scale went from 0 to 400.
Dude,
I don't know why I didn't wreck my car.
6,518.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
And so it was so far off the charts. I was in disbelief. Fast forward later, through a whole bunch of testing, they concluded that I had one option for survival, and it was emergency open heart cardiac bypass surgery.
Wow.
Which I did.
Yeah. How many bypasses?
Three. And I hope that's all I ever have to have. So.
Well, you're a bit of an underachiever there, right?
I'm not trying to set a record in the bypass category.
You could have had 5, Kev,
I look back and I laugh about it. As a child, I dreamed of setting records of hitting home runs or touchdowns or something. I never dreamed of setting a medical
I hold
record.
the old-time record for calcium in your arteries.
Exactly. But
is that an Olympic event or something? I mean, do you chug like a 5 gallons of whole milk in order to get that?
Yeah.
Oh, that's terrible.
That's exactly right. So it was during that period of intense fear, uncertainty, and doubt that I really began to kind of tap into some spiritual aspects of my life that I had really not really tapped into. And I'd like to share a couple of things with
like
you
what?
and your audience here.
Mm-hmm.
On the way into the operating room, when I got to that point and they were going to do the surgery, right when the doors opened up to the operating room, I felt like a waterfall of prayer was falling over me.
Wow.
And it really struck me, and it dawned on me in that instant that I remember a number of people that I work with said that they were going to start praying for me about the time my surgery began.
Oh, wow.
And I felt that. And I was still far too over anxious. I was still scared, even though I felt the prayer. I closed my eyes and I said the most fateful prayer I've ever said in my life. And I'd like to share that with you. It was, I said, "Dear God, this is right when I'm in the operating room and I'm still awake, and I'm not going to be awake for just a little bit longer." I said, "Dear God, my precious wife is not ready for my passing, but please take me today if it's your will to do so." And I said, "If I am to survive, I'd like your help with achieving a bucket list of the 3 most essential items of my life. 1, I'd like to dance with my wife again. 2, I'd like to hold hands with my wife and take a walk. And 3, I'd like to meet and get to know my unborn grandchild." Well, here's the great news. Great news, I heard those people's prayer. And the even greater news, God answered mine. You know, it's because I've danced with her. We've held hands and taken that walk. And as you know, Joey, we've shared, I've got what I think are the most amazing grandchildren and God could provide. So
let's clarify that. You've got the 2 most amazing grandsons God could provide.
Grandsons, that's right.
I have the most amazing granddaughter God could provide.
Well, I think they should meet one day. Then. I think they should get together and meet.
Absolutely. Then they'll have the most amazing great-grands ever born.
Right. Exactly.
Oh man. So tell me about what it was like to dance with your wife following all this, Kev.
I had an opportunity to, I was invited to be a guest speaker at an annual awards banquet that the hospital where I had my surgery was putting on.
Oh, wow.
And I opened up that speech telling them the very first question I asked my wife some 38 years prior, and that was when I first met her, I asked her, would she like to dance? You know, and everybody's thinking, oh, she must have said yes because you're married. She didn't. She said maybe, which really...
She wanted to watch you dance before she got on the dance floor with you.
Pretty much. Yeah. So 5 minutes before we arrived at this venue, I looked at my wife and I said, I'd like to ask you a question.
Yeah.
And she said, what is that? And I said, would you dance with me tonight?
Oh.
And she said, yes, I would. There was no hesitation this time.
Oh.
To get on the dance floor with my bride, knowing that was one of the 3 bucket items that I had asked God for, was I'll never forget that experience and that overpowering time. It was the most wonderful thing, Joey.
Wow.
And it's really affirmation that, God can do wonders in people's lives. I know he he certainly has in mine.
So this is going out on a limb, Kev, but do you remember the first song you danced to when you got back on the dance floor after all that?
Might have been, I think it's called I Was Made for Loving You by Kiss. I think that's the name of the song.
Ladies and gentlemen, Kevin Kirksey.
That's it.
That was amazing. I love it. Yeah. Okay, so now all these people are opening up their YouTube app to listen to that Kiss song.
They are. I do it all the time when I work out. Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's great. So tell me about the walk. You got to go on a walk with her.
Well, the walk was pretty benign. I mean, it was at our home. I had had got back from surgery. I had got recovered. Mm-hmm. I was walking around the house by myself, but not really formally out in the streets in the neighborhood taking a walk with her. And one day I asked her if she'd like to take a walk, and she said, sure. And I said, well, there's one condition. We have to hold hands, because that was part of the prayer. Hold my wife's hand and take a walk. And so we did. And, it was not a long walk. It was short because I really couldn't walk a long time.
Right.
But yeah, it was, again,
that's
very, very
special.
amazing. And, similarly, when I saw my grandson for the first time the day he was born, it just, and you understand this with your granddaughter, just fell in love. So
immediate
absolutely
love.
positive. So
Immediate
fantastic.
love. That is amazing. So the name of the book is Life 2.0. Tell us about that title. What does the title mean?
Well, the title is a couple of things. So my observations, two things came together, which led me to this. One of the things that came together was I observed countless clinical and non-clinical people that were caring for me or around me were doing lots of little things for me and my wife. And I'll give you an example of two of them. One thing, a nurse who was supposed to check my blood sugar every hour on the hour, she'd waken me up in the middle of the night testing it. Every time I saw her, I was hoping she was bringing the morphine to help me deal with the pain that I was in. And one day she said to me, she said, Kevin, he says, what do you think your little blood sugar test is going to result in? And I gave her a number. She goes, well, I think it's going to be this. And that started a game. And so every time I saw her afterwards, I was thinking, I'm going to play the game and I'm going to win. That's my competitive spirit.
There you go.
And the funny thing is, it took my mind off the pain. And I look back, it dawned on me months later what that young lady was doing for me. She didn't have to do this. It was a selfless, caring act to give me a little peace of mind, give me a little break from the pain.
That's beautiful, man.
Another example, Joey, is I took my first walk around the nurse's station. That's a major milestone after the surgery, is to be able to walk 30 to 50 feet.
You did keep your gown closed.
Yeah.
Didn't you? You kept your gown closed.
I just made sure my wife was behind me. So.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Surprised she said yes to asking her
dancing
dance.
and holding hands, right?
Right. So I walked around the nurse's station and I was met with a high five and a lady saying, "You're my rock star." And just those little things really affirmed my value, my relevance, my importance as a human being. And when I considered that these people put their lives on hold for people like me, and they've got jobs, they've got life, they've got spouses, boyfriends, girlfriends, they got it all, but yet they don't ask for anything in return. And so there was also an occasion, I think this is appropriate given the nature of your audience, Christian business folks. There was an occasion where angels were revealed to me on 3 different occasions. Wow. But they were not angels that I saw in church growing up with wings. They weren't playing harps. I saw them through the eyes of other people on 3 different occasions.
Tell us about your angels.
Well, the first time was the day I was released from the hospital. You're in a wheelchair. They got to take you out in a wheelchair, and I'm being wheeled past the nurse's station. And I just raised my hand and I said a little out loud, I said, "Thank you so much for saving my life." And of course, the nurses that were there at the station, they were all, very happy and smiling, but something caught my eye and I turned my head. It was almost behind me. And I noticed who looked to be like a technician or a nurse walking down the hall and was just about to go behind the wall that was over there. And they had looked at me and I saw the most beautiful, loving, kind, accepting, protecting moment that I think I had ever seen. And I wasn't startled by it, but I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And when I'm going home that day, all I could think of was what I just saw. And I concluded, I said, I think I saw an angel. Now, fast forward a couple of months, I'm in cardiac rehab. I'm going to rehab 3 times a week. And the way I would go in the building, I'd have to go through the emergency room and down the hall. And there was a lady behind a glass window in the emergency room that I don't know who she is, and she didn't know me, but I would walk by and she would give me a smile and I'd smile back. And after
yeah.
a couple of times, she would give me a smile and a wave. And I'm looking forward to my smile and my wave.
Yeah.
Well, the graduation day is my last day at rehab. I go in, I'm looking forward to getting my smile and my wave. And I turn to look in there and I see her working in there, and she looks up at me, and I just saw the same thing that I saw checking out of the hospital that day. And I was just, it just practically stopped me in my tracks in a very good way.
Yes.
But I told myself, I'm going to go back and meet her. I'm going to go back and see her. And when after my class, I went there and she had gone. She worked the night shift. And so eventually later, I went up and talked to her and shared with her what I saw. And the last time is probably the most powerful one. Surgery's over, rehab's over. I'm at the hospital at a public event having to do with cardiac care, and I'm leaving the event. And there's some rotating glass door that I'm going to go through. And there's a very large man on his hands and knees. He's washing the windows. He's cleaning them. Must have been a maintenance person or something like that. And so as I approach him, I said, "Hey, you're doing a great job. Those windows look fantastic. I promise not to mess them up for you." And he's standing and turning at the same time. He says to me, "It's quite all right if you do so, sir." And right in front of me, I was looking at an angel in his eyes. That gentleman passed away about 7 months after that. I learned that he was a deacon in his church.
Wow.
Quite spiritual. And the funny thing is, Joey, literally 3 weeks ago, I was cleaning out my closet here at home, and I came across the bulletin of his funeral service that I attended. Wow. And on the front of that bulletin, they had a picture of him. And I never saw this before, but he, out of his side, he had angel wings. And it was the most chilling, powerful thing. So the two things that came together, I'm going to bring you back to your question. Seeing the unselfish nature of the medical people, seeing the angels reveal themselves to me through the eyes of others, I concluded, well, maybe I'm supposed to be living a different life. Maybe I'm supposed to be living a life focused on others versus what I've historically done is focus on myself. Maybe I should consider how others see the world, and maybe I need to be the one to affirm people's value, relevance, and importance, because, I've come to learn that that's a love that we all can give. And for me personally, I think it's a love that God wants me to give. And so, my whole life changed. Not that it was bad. I thought I was living a great life, but I'm hearing, I hear things in life. I see things in life. I feel things in life far more than I ever thought I possibly could. And I think it's because I'm now at a point with my life 2.0 where there are no strangers. We all know each other. You know that I struggle with things in my life, and I know that you do, and I know that my neighbor does, and I may have never met somebody, but I know they have pain. I know they have
the struggle is real for all of us.
So just recognizing that and doing something kind like a smile or paying for their sandwich at a sandwich store, or going and helping out in a community service, anything that I can do to add value to somebody else's life is what I set out to do each and every day when I wake up. And so that's where it came from. Life 2.0, the journey from near death to new life is where that title came from.
So how do you remind yourself daily as you're getting up, Kevin, that as Rick Warren would say, it's not about you. It's about others and serving others. How do you remind yourself of that each day?
Well, being in business, I keep a calendar, and there's two things on my calendar. It's 7 o'clock every morning, 7 days a week. I have the words, "Thanks for giving." So thanks for giving. It reminds me of the healthcare professionals that gave of themselves to help me have an outstanding result. The other thing that I have in my calendar right after that is I have the words "live or die." It's a choice. Make the choice today, live or die. So it helps me eat what I'm supposed to eat. It helps me do my cardio exercise twice a day. It helps me with a lot of things. And so when I see those every day in my calendar, it's almost like it snaps me to the fact, okay, who or what am I going to impact today? I've got to do it somehow, some way. And that's how I do it. That's what I do.
And that's something we can all do. We can all set that up in our phone or in our calendar or something, just to pop up and
Right.
say, hey, smile or do something for somebody else or whatever it is. And we all need those reminders. And I love the way, Kevin, you're talking about, it doesn't have to be huge or financially expensive things that we do here. It can be a smile. And what does that cost you really in the grand scheme of things? It can be a wave.
Right.
It can be a kind word. It can just be seeing someone and acknowledging that the guy's cleaning the windows, right? As opposed to thinking, okay, that's his job. He's supposed to clean windows, right?
That's right.
So just seeing people and recognizing them, it sounds like an amazing life to live when we live life 2.0. And for you, it's a faith journey.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's a faith journey. And then what I've noticed is that I tend to apply this life to everyone, including those colleagues that I work with, something I wasn't doing before. So I found that acknowledgement, doing something for somebody, giving them a break when I hadn't normally given them a break, so on and so forth, just letting them know and demonstrating that they're worthy of value, they're relevant to what we're doing, they're important to what we're doing. People respond to that like nobody's business. And so it's not that I was doing this to make our business proper. This just became a byproduct of my new life. I noticed that I'm getting affirmation from others that what I'm doing is on the right track. And I feel, a tugging from God every day that stay on the track, keep going. And so that's what I try my very best to do.
So Life 2.0 works at work and improves the bottom line too.
Absolutely.
And that's because people are people, regardless of where we are or what we're doing. Man, we just be kind to each other and acknowledge each other.
That's right.
So I mentioned a website earlier, KevinKirkseyAuthor.com. That's your website. When I go there, what am I going to find, Kev?
Well, you're going to see a copy of the book. You're going to see a summary about what I write about. You're going to see some testimonials and quotes on what other people say about the journey. Some of them are executives. Some of them are heads of nursing organizations. Others are individuals. So you'll see kind of whatever the people have seen. You'll see an opportunity to communicate with me. There's a dialogue or a text box that you can submit something that I'll receive the email, and then you have an opportunity to purchase the book if that's something that you're interested in doing.
Right. Wonderful. So that's KevinKirkseyAuthor.com. And again, if you're where you can't write that down or something, you can just go to our website where you can listen to this or watch this as well, getpositive.today, and just look for Kevin Kirksey in the search window, and you'll go right to that. And then KevinKirkseyAuthor.com is a website that Chuck put right in there for you. So all you have to do is click on that link. Kevin, Faith Positive Nation always wants to know from our guest about a favorite Bible verse or Bible passage. Having had such a rigorous journey, I am sure that there's an anchor scripture for you that just really nails all this down, keeps you focused each day on living that life 2.0. What is it?
Well, I mean, I can think of a number of them that are very powerful, but I think the one that I'm most impacted by on a day-to-day basis is Ephesians 2:8-9. It talks about God's grace and where that comes from. And I know that in my life, God shed his grace on me and my family. And I'm a recipient of that. And I'll be forever grateful and forever deeply humbled by the power of grace, not just, from God, but also grace from other people. So that's, that rings very, very true in my life.
Including your wife, who went from maybe I'll dance with you to yes, I'll dance with you. Right?
It's funny. I haven't asked her lately. I don't know what she would say now, but
she'd say, "Show me your moves, and then I'll decide." KevinKirkseyAuthor.com is the website. Go there now and get your copy. It's an enchanting story. It's one that can help you begin to live your life 2.0 and to give expression to the great faith that you have within you. Because we're all recipients of grace. Kevin, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you sharing your story today. And I pray God's blessings on you and your lovely wife, whose name should be Grace, right?
Mm-hmm.
And on those two grandsons who are the most handsome, brilliant grandsons ever born. Yeah. So thanks for spending time with us today.
Well,
man.
I'm humbled to have the opportunity to visit with you and your audience today, Joey. I really am, and thank you so much. I mean, it's this is one of the ways I can get the message out, and it's been just fabulous. So thank you.
Oh, the pleasure's ours. Thank you. God bless. KevinKirkseyAuthor.com is the website you want to go to. Kevin, thanks so much, buddy.
See you later, Joey. Bye-bye.
Right.
Thanks for listening to Faith Positive Radio, the Christian business coaching conversation that increases your faith with greater joy at work so you love God and others more. Suggest guests and ask questions when you email Dr. Joey at info@getpositive.today. And be sure to get your free gift of the 5 positive business conversations to have today coaching program at getpositive.today. Until next time, may God bless you with everything your heart can hope for and more than your mind can imagine.